Dealerships are having to get desperate. They're having to get really creative right now to move this inventory. Here I have a huge lineup of F-150s behind me. America's #1 selling pickup truck, but even they can't sell these, right? There's a whole lineup of them. Right now across the US, there are over 25,000 brand new Ram 1500s, Ram 2500s, 3500s sitting collecting dust for over 220 days on lots. Look at their price tags, right? 74,000, 67,000, 104,000 for this one, almost 97,000. Just recently, Nissan corporate announced that they'll be cutting 9,000 jobs worldwide. This last year, they saw a 70% drop in anticipated profits. Moving forward, they plan to cut at least 25% of their production. That's insane. This last quarter, $60 million lost. Insurance premiums have over doubled over the last 2.5 years across the United States. And in many states, we are seeing increases of 50 to 60% year over year. Right now, if you are in the market for a used vehicle, you can expect tremendous savings. MSRPs, they've risen 42% since 2019. We've talked about that before, and this is a prime example. You get a 4-cylinder underneath the hood, made entirely out of Mexico, they outsource production, and they hike up the price tag 25%. Kind of crazy. What does that mean for your trade-in value? What does that mean for your current vehicle? The values of those are getting decimated. These are already losing 25 to 35% of their value within the first 6 months of ownership. First thing to go generally when it comes to making payments is your auto loan. So because of that, we have seen a 23% increase of repossession rates since last year. Dealerships will continue to line their entire lots with unsold inventory, and each and every month, that dealership, this dealership here, they're paying a flooring cost. They're paying a flooring cost for every single vehicle. National average negative equity right now is $7,200, meaning people owe $7,200 more than what their vehicle is currently worth right now. That is up from $6,600 from just a few months ago. And 1 out of 5 individuals with an auto loan out right now owes $10,000 more than what the vehicle is currently worth. If you really want to prove to your family that you're having an identity crisis, you can pick up this brand new Hummer EV for $111,000. How about that? Hey YouTube, Untamed here. So insurance and interest rates are through the roof right now. Repossession rates, they're the highest that they've ever been within the US currently. In addition to that, inventory levels across all vehicle manufacturers, across all dealerships within the US, the highest that they have been in the last 8 years. So we are certainly on the brink of a car market crash of 2025, and in today's video, I'm going to provide you with some current alarming stats, facts, and figures that really paint the picture for you, so stick with me. Now don't get me wrong, I understand you can't open up YouTube today without seeing a bunch of thumbnails from various YouTubers saying the sky is falling when it comes to the new and used vehicle market. But if you honestly look at the data that backs a lot of this information, the writing really is on the wall. Something has got to give, and something has got to give soon, and we're going to talk through it in today's video. Let me start with perhaps the most alarming bit. The current average new vehicle loan monthly payment is over $760 right now within the US. 1 out of 6 people that take out a loan right now is taking a loan out for a monthly payment over $1,000. And the interest rates that you get on a new vehicle loan or a used vehicle loan are still equally awful as what they were a year ago today. Today's average, 7.2% on a new vehicle purchase. On a used vehicle purchase, 11.4% is the national average. Pretty crazy, huh? What was once a very popular vehicle that would fly off the shelf as soon as it hit a dealership lot is now sitting collecting dust. In many parts of the country, these brand new Toyota Tundras are sitting on dealership lots for over 200 days, up to 250 days on many occasions. That is insane. These used to fly off within just a few weeks, if that. Especially during the pandemic, you couldn't even get one. But now, people have realized that they're really not all what they're chalked up to be, and they're wildly overpriced. And just for context, as I walk down this lineup of Tundras, so many of them are right up around $60,000, with a few of them being over 70 grand, right? So 62,000, 65,000. This one here, I haven't looked at it. It has an iForce Max badge on it, so it's going to be the hybridized version. Let's see how much they want for this. $75,000 for this Tundra Platinum Crew Max. What the heck? I said it once before and I'll say it again. People who buy the Toyota Tundra and people who buy the Toyota Tacoma down there, they're the blue-collar working class. They're not trying to come out here and spend $75,000, 100 grand after the full loan term goes through. They're not trying to spend that kind of money on a truck. They want to use the truck for what it's intended for, work, right? But here we have these astronomical price tags that have priced out the target demographic, which is really insane. The Tacoma down here, I'll show you a couple examples, but many of them are over $55,000 for a TRD off-road or a TRD sport. Not even the top-of-the-line TRD Pro or Trail Hunter. Those, $68,000, $70,000. No thanks. So much of this lineup here are in the $50,000 price range. And then right here, I like to show this because this exact trim, an SR5, bare bones base model SR5, used to be right around $30,000, but nowadays you're looking at 43 grand for the same exact truck. Pretty ridiculous. Which is why it's really no surprise that we see dealerships discounting these $6,000 to $8,000 off of MSRP in a heartbeat, trying to move this inventory, but they can't. Same goes for the Tundra. They're discounting those $8,000 to $12,000 in a heartbeat, but still, they can't even move that inventory. MSRPs, they've risen 42% since 2019. We've talked about that before, and this is a prime example. You get a 4-cylinder underneath the hood, made entirely out of Mexico. They outsource production, and they hike up the price tag 25%. Kind of crazy. So not only have they gotten rid of the 5.7 liter V8 from the Toyota Land Cruiser nameplate here, they put that 2.4 liter 4-cylinder underneath the hood and still have the nerve to ask $60,000 for it. How about that? Kind of crazy, huh? It really does blow my mind of just how many Ford Broncos are just sitting on dealership lots across the US right now. We have so many various trimmed Broncos here, to include the Bronco Raptor, which is seeing a $15,000 to $20,000 discount off of MSRP. Ford really kind of overhiked the MSRPs for a bit, and they're actually dialing back a smidge here on the 2024 models anyway. But that has driven a huge discount savings across the board. But even then, they're still wildly overpriced at about $80,000 after discount. I remember when I was stationed in Maryland, I went and looked at a Ford Bronco Outer Banks with a Sasquatch package, if I recall correctly, and that dealership would not move from a $15,000 markup on it. Oh, how times have changed. Look what you see behind me. All of these, they can't even sell them with an $8,000 to $10,000 discount. Kind of funny, huh? And these are the vehicles that are actually selling, right? These Toyota RAV4s, these Corolla hatchbacks, GR86s even are actually selling. RAV4, Camry. To give you an idea of the price point though, $25,000 for this Corolla hatchback, $30,000 for the GR86, $39,000 for this particular RAV4, and $33,000 for this Toyota Camry SE. Kind of a cool color, this one. But these are all fuel-efficient vehicles within that $30,000 price point. That's what's actually moving. Many families right now are struggling to buy their family haulers, right? These brand new full-size SUVs are just gotten wildly overpriced. I have a number of brand new 2024 Ford Expeditions behind me, many of them between $80,000 and $93,000. For example, this particular one here is a Ford Expedition Limited Max with the Stealth package. It's over $92,000. I personally just bought a 2020, a used example of the same exact vehicle in white for $39,000. So not only do they not hold residual value whatsoever, the price tags of them up front are just far too much for people to handle. And to be fair, each time I come to this dealership, there seems to be just a couple more of these Ford Mavericks. Once upon a time in the not so distant past, these were selling like hotcakes too, because similar to those Camrys and RAV4s over there, they're affordable. People can actually afford this. They can make those monthly payments, because many of these here are between $31,000 and $35,000. And outside of Tesla, EV sales across the nation have totally crapped the bed, guys. If you look at even at Tesla values right now, they have come crumbling down in the last 2 years. Sales like this for the Mustang Mach-E, they're just not happening. Ford F-150 Lightning, they're not happening either. Let me give you a quick reminder of how much they want for these things. $52,000 for this one here. And to add insult to injury, where do they produce them? Mexico. How about that? And when we talk about 1 out of 6 auto loans being over $1,000 per month, well, this is it right here. This lineup here is a very clear reminder of why that is, right? So we have an F-350 Lariat here, obviously a dually, $92,000 and some change. This is a F-350 Platinum, obviously dually as well, over 100 grand for this particular one. And well, this one right here, F-350 with the Tremor package, 96,000 and some change. Kind of wild. And just for context, if you were going to take out a loan for that full amount on that $100,000 Platinum back there, you're going to easily be spending $1,800 to $2,100 per month for those payments for 72 months. That's insane. Those are mortgage-sized payments for a vehicle, which is why we are seeing 1 out of 5 new auto loans being declined by banks throughout this last quarter. 1 out of 5, 20% being denied by banks. And obviously those bank denials are taking place because people are failing to make payments on their vehicles. The cost of living has gotten out of hand, right? We're talking even the cost of groceries, the cost of mortgage, your cost of rent, cost of insurance, everything has gone through the roof. And well, the first thing to go generally when it comes to making payments is your auto loan. So because of that, we have seen a 23% increase of repossession rates since last year. Because of the record high inventory levels across the US, dealerships are having to get desperate. They're having to get really creative right now to move this inventory. Here I have a huge lineup of F-150s behind me. America's #1 selling pickup truck, but even they can't sell these, right? There's a whole lineup of them. And this is not unique to my local dealership. This is everywhere right now. But when they can't sell these, what do they have to do? They have to offer incentivized interest rates and huge discounts. I'm talking $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 off of MSRP to move this inventory. And even then, it could be a challenge for dealerships. But when they do that, what does that mean for your trade-in value? What does that mean for your current vehicle? The values of those are getting decimated because if they have to drop these 15 grand off of new, well, your used example is worth even less now. So the national average negative equity right now is $7,200, meaning people owe $7,200 more than what their vehicle is currently worth right now. That is up from $6,600 from just a few months ago. And 1 out of 5 individuals with an auto loan out right now owes $10,000 more than what the vehicle is currently worth. Kind of crazy, huh? Even America's Ford Explorer has gotten wildly expensive. $62,000, $61,000, $60,000, $50,000. Auto loan debt right now is at a national all-time high, and even buying vehicles like this where you used to get them and then drive them for a few years and not lose your rear end when it comes to resale or trade-in time is no longer the case. These are already losing 25 to 35% of their value within the first 6 months of ownership. Kind of crazy, but obviously them not being able to move that inventory over there and having to slash it $6,000 to $8,000 off of MSRP brand new, well, those play roles in that equation. So Americans are struggling to justify the prices of new pickup trucks these days, right? Which is why we're seeing so many dealerships having to discount. This is a pretty mild example, but it shows the point a little bit, right? $6,000 off and 3.9% interest rate. I would wager you need to see $12,000 to $15,000 off of this particular one and a 1.9% interest rate. So those are things that I feel like you can actually go bat for if you are in the market of buying a pickup truck. You are absolutely in the driver's seat right now because, well, you're going to continue to see this. Dealerships will continue to line their entire lots with unsold inventory. And each and every month, that dealership, this dealership here, they're paying a flooring cost. They're paying a flooring cost for every single vehicle, which is, think about it as a credit card with a compounding interest rate every single month. Every single month, they're paying an interest rate per vehicle on this lot. That's hard to keep up with over time. So $6,000 off of a $93,000 price tag really isn't too competitive. I would wager they need to be 10 to 15% off of that. And this right here is proof of dealerships being able to get creative to move inventory. This is a GMC Terrain. They're offering $4,500 off or a 0.9% interest rate, meaning they have the ability, they have the power to drop those interest rates and really incentivize the deal. But I would wager they need to do it before they get really desperate. And right now, things are not looking good for the coming few months. And one thing we don't talk about much is insurance premiums. Insurance premiums have over doubled over the last 2.5 years across the United States. And in many states, we are seeing increases of 50 to 60% year over year. That's insane and impossible to keep up with. Do you remember the days where you used to go to a dealership and get tremendous savings on a used vehicle purchase compared to new? Well, the pandemic kind of set sail to that idea, right? Oftentimes we would see lightly used vehicles going for the same amount as a new vehicle just due to supply constraints, right? But right now, if you are in the market for a used vehicle, you can expect tremendous savings. You know, this right here is kind of a prime example to some degree. It's still wildly overpriced, but way better than what we used to be just a few months ago, really. This is a GMC Yukon XL Ultimate Edition. So this is a top trim of the Yukon XL. 26,000 miles on it. $84,000 what they're currently asking for it. The MSRP on this brand new is over $100,000. I think it's over $101,000 or $103,000 brand new. So at least we're starting to see some savings on lightly used examples. And I know I pick on Toyota plenty for the Toyota Tacoma pricing. You know, GMC, they're no different, right? This is a GMC Canyon AT4X, and they want about $60,000 for it. About 60 grand for this AT4X, $59,110 bucks. The Denali sitting right next to it, 54,000 some change. Many of these are well over 50 grand. And that's kind of wild to me because especially all of these happen to have a 4-cylinder as well. And if you really want to prove to your family that you're having an identity crisis, you can pick up this brand new Hummer EV for $111,000. How about that? Among the most desperate dealerships out there right now are Nissan dealers. So if you're interested in Nissan at all, now's the time to pounce because they are in dire straits. Just recently, Nissan corporate announced that they'll be cutting 9,000 jobs worldwide. This last year, they saw a 70% drop in anticipated profits. Moving forward, they plan to cut at least 25% of their production. That's insane. This last quarter, $60 million lost. $60 million lost in this last quarter. So they are definitely in dire straits. Deals like this for this particular Armada are going to be chump change, right? We're seeing $8,000 off of the MSRP of just under 66 grand. So that is going to be nothing. I would wager you can easily double that if it meant moving it today. Kind of some foreshadowing in this frame here because we've got Honda up over there. They are now talking about a potential merger between Honda and Nissan, just really as a last Hail Mary to save the brand. So really all of this nonsense over here is killing the brand. But with the introduction of that new 2024 redesigned Toyota Tacoma with the 4-cylinder has actually increased the sales for the Nissan Frontier here with a 3.8 liter naturally aspirated V6. This right here is actually seeming like a better option for a lot of folks, especially when you look at the price tag, right? So that is of course their incentivized deal right now. I've heard so many people paying in the mid-30s for a brand new Nissan Frontier Pro 4X, just like this one. So the price tag, much more appropriate too. Right now, inventory levels are at 2.89 million new vehicles available across the US right now. That is up over 120% since 2023. That in and of itself is quite wild. Now, huge discounts and savings is nothing new for Chevy in particular, especially with the Silverado. Here we have a Silverado ZR2 with the 6.2 liter V8. Let's see how much they want for it. So the MSRP is just under $77,000. 77 grand, but these you could easily get $8,000 to $12,000 off in a heartbeat. I would wager even closer to 15 to 20 if it meant making a deal happen. Something that not a whole lot of people talk about is wholesale values. Wholesale values are like the auction value of your vehicle, right? So when you go in to trade in your vehicle, a dealership will take your VIN number, plug it into their wholesale system and see how much that vehicle is going for at auction. And then they'll spit out a trade value to you, right? Because at least they know they can auction your vehicle off and get what they're giving you for your trade-in anyway. So that's wholesale value. Wholesale values have gone down 18% over this last quarter here in 2024. 18%. That's pretty unprecedented, and that is a huge indicator of where we're at. Dealerships can no longer just take on a vehicle and like, oh, I'm just going to wholesale it. And a lot of dealerships would actually rather wholesale a vehicle through auction compared to selling it to you, the consumer, because there's more headache involved to selling to you, the consumer. So wholesale values are no longer a safety net for dealerships, and that has them shaking in their boots. Right now across the US, there are over 25,000 brand new Ram 1500s, Ram 2500s, 3500s sitting collecting dust for over 220 days on lots. Let me say it again, over 25,000 of these just sitting across the US unsold. People are just not buying them. And you know, when I look at each of these Ram pickup trucks here, look at their price tags, right? 74,000, or 67,000, 104,000 for this one, almost 97,000. They're all just astronomically priced. And that's because they're all highly spec'd, right? So many of these are just highly spec'd examples because there was a larger profit margin to be had on each of these, right? Even Ram got rid of their lowest base model Ram pickup truck. Was it the Tradesman? I forget exactly what it's called. They got rid of their lowest base model example because it didn't bring enough profit margin. These here, although technically they bring a lot of profit margin, they bring zero when they actually don't sell. How about that? Another small glimmer of hope through all this is there's no more markups, right? Dealerships can't get away with doing that. They can't even get away with selling them at MSRP nowadays. They were able to take advantage of people because money was cheap during the pandemic. And what I mean by that is you could easily secure a 1 to 3% interest rate nearly through any bank or lender, right? And because of that, they knew they could sell you at a premium, an inflated price tag. Nowadays, like I mentioned, 1 out of 5 auto loans that are applied for are being denied right now. And because of that, dealerships certainly cannot hike up the price tags with these artificial packages or ADMs. They just can't get away with it anymore. Stellantis is really struggling bad. We've talked about it before in the channel. Stellantis oversees 14 brands, Ram being one of them. they're actually going back to the drawing board and determining which of their 14 brands they want to get rid of, whether it's Dodge, Ram, Jeep, Chrysler, Fiat. There's 14 of them. Which one do they need to trim, or do they need to trim multiple? They're looking at that and will decide by 2026, if they even get that long, right? They've seen nearly a 50% drop in their stock just over the last 6 months. That's not good. All right, guys, I'll wrap up the video there. As always, I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to tune into these videos. I love talking about it. It truly is my passion going through these details. Yeah, I understand there's a lot of YouTubers out there that like to scream the sky is falling, but like I mentioned, as I talked through in this video, the writing really is on the wall. It really is on the wall. It's a matter of when. It's not a matter of if the car market is going to crumble. And at that time, the dealerships that are going to succeed are the ones that actually took care of their customers, didn't take advantage of them, and actually are willing to cut their losses early. The dealerships that are just holding on and waiting for a government bailout perhaps, well, they're going to continue to fail, and those are the ones that are going to go bankrupt. So if you appreciate this type of content, please, I respectfully request that you consider liking and subscribing. Your support means a lot, and it certainly doesn't go unnoticed. Until next time.